Hey, what's going on, everybody? It has been too long since I've taken the time to make a video. The amount of time that goes into the editing process is just crazy. So my priorities have changed a little bit over the summer. I've taken a lot of time to fly, to spend with family, to hang out with my kids. So the videos kind of took a back seat. But I've got something kind of cool going on right now that seems like a good opportunity to get back in front of the camera again. Ben and I met up at the Moonshiners Fly-In just a couple weekends ago, and that was over in Mountain City, Tennessee, which is 3 hours from me. I'd never been there before. It is one of the most magical places you can imagine. Literally mountains all around, great LZ options in case there's an emergency, so you can really go and explore up in the mountain area. So had a great time out there, looking forward to getting back out there again. I've also had some really good opportunity to fly with Travis and Peter and explore more with the trike. I've taken more people up for a ride, flying at the airports, up in the mountains, just kind of exploring and taking advantage of the nice weather this summer. This is my original Parajet Maverick. I purchased this from Aviator. It was the unit I trained on when I was in Denellen, Florida. So this is back in January 2020. This paramotor has brought me on some amazing adventures, not only local here in Tennessee. I've flown it many times down in Florida. Of course, I did my big out west trip. This is something I documented very thoroughly, flying in Arkansas, New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, Colorado. Just absolutely an amazing journey. And this is the machine that did it for me. This is my second motor on this unit. Right now I've got just over 187 hours on the unit itself. The first motor I had 87 hours on. So now we're at 100 hours on this new motor, on the dual start. And I started thinking, where am I at now with my paramotor ambitions? What do I want out of this sport moving forward? Now granted, this unit is still solid as can be. I could fly this thing, I don't know, another 5 years and not have an issue. Just keep replacing the motor once in a while, or even continue to maintain the motor, whatever it takes. But I figure it's time to reward myself with something a little bit different, something new. And now that I'm not as concerned about crashing, it was time for a little bit of an upgrade. Now, before I get to the upgrade, let's take a look at this unit and see how well it's held up after 2.5 years, almost 190 hours of motor running, flight time. This thing's been through a lot. Now, for those of you who've been following my channel, you know what I've put this thing through. One of the most tragic things it's gone through was my water landing, where I crashed this paramotor into the river and basically got swept down the river. And if it wasn't for my buddy Travis, a lot of determination, I would probably not be here today. So I have a lot of history with this guy. Now this thing has, the frame itself is solid. I mean, outside of a little bit of an oblong shape to it from a few crashes, it's solid. The only thing I replaced that is apparent is the netting. I went with this cheaper netting that's a little bit more durable than the netting that came on it. Sadly, after my third or fourth flight back home after training, I had a prop break and it went through my netting. I wasn't about to spend another $400 or $500, so I picked this one up for maybe 50 or 60 bucks, and it's actually been pretty awesome. I haven't had any issues with it. Doesn't quite look as pretty, but I'm not in the sport to look pretty. Now, the motor that is currently on here has about 100 hours on it, and I am at the point in my life where I really want to invest my time into flying and not motor maintenance. So I've done the couple things that have been needed up to this point, but now after you break that 100-hour mark, there's just a little bit more to it. And I have had such success with this motor. It has not left me stranded. It has not died on me in flight. No motor outs. Just very reliable. Even when it hasn't run the best, where it gets a little bit finicky because the carb needs to be rebuilt or the cylinder head and piston need to be cleaned off, it has never left me stranded. There's something to be said for that. So I've been extremely happy with this motor and basically the setup in general. So what am I thinking at this point? Well, 2.5 years of flying the same unit. No complaints, works well. If I do ding it up a little bit, it's not a big deal. However, I started getting to the point where I want to travel a little bit more. Sometimes I might want to take my car places, and instead of loading this big unit and trying to find a way either on a cargo rack or in the back of my truck where it has to be exposed, I'd really like to have something I can break down. Now, I looked at the PAP for a little bit, and Ben actually has that, which is pretty cool. It's a really neat looking paramotor. But then I have started thinking, I've just been very happy with the Parajet brand. And my buddy Colton, who I did my trek training with, he said that Parajet makes the Zenith paramotor, which I'd never heard of. I never really looked past the Maverick. That was what they recommended in training. That's all I knew. So I went on the website, and they make a model that's a little bit easier to break down, and it's very sweet looking as well. So I started brainstorming. Well, I could keep this unit. I know you can break these down. It's just not something I want to go through each and every time. So to have something a little bit easier makes sense to me. So I decided to start looking at options. I could either upgrade my motor, get another dual start motor, throw that on there, get another 100 hours, another year of flying out of this thing, no problem. Or I could look at something new. Well, I think you're kind of getting the idea of where this is going. Because if you look over here, we've got a big box. There's something in that box I'm very eager to see. Let's say we open this thing up and take a look, huh? There's something pretty special about a new motor. It just brings a smile to your face. How shiny and clean this guy is. Look at this thing. Look how beautiful it is. I got the orange and the silver. Wow, that thing's pretty sweet. I know this might be a sad moment for the Parajet Maverick. We're going to take his platform and build the Zenith on that. Sorry, buddy. We need to take a closer look at this thing. Now, the whole point of getting this particular model was the ease of assembly and disassembly. So we are about to see how easy that actually is. I have watched a couple of videos, and I might have to refer to them. It's been a few months. I placed this order back in early June, so it took me about 8 weeks to get. The first thing I'm looking at here is the netting, which I heard is supposed to be very simple to put on because it just slips up through the channel on the hoop. So we'll find out and see what that's like. It's great that they spend so much time wrapping these things up so tight. I'll tell you what, that's probably the most time-consuming part, is just unwrapping everything. Not sure what these are for yet, but they have little clips and little posts. So we'll find out. All right, I've got to unwrap all of these still. I'm going to show you a super fast way to do this. It's kind of like magic. You tap them together and they will open up. Watch this. Ah, that is so much easier. All right, let's see what we can do with this. So these are all of our hoop sections, and apparently they just plug into each of the spars. So I'm guessing the spars are all the same length. We're all learning together right now. Okay, it's looking pretty good so far. So far it's kind of self-explanatory, but now we're getting to the lower section. See what happens there. Okay, I had to break down and watch one of the videos, and it was just this last little piece. The last spar that comes together has these little pieces on them and then a buckle, and I wasn't sure what this thing is for. So what I realize now, this is for the tank, so this slides up to help secure the tank at the same time. Plus, I had 2 extra of these and I was all confused. Well, apparently you get 2 extra, which is pretty awesome. What company is giving you extra spars just in case you break one? So can't complain about that. Now when I ordered this, it said it would take 4 weeks to get, and it ended up taking over 8 weeks, almost 9 weeks. And part of the problem is apparently they had some issues with quality control. So they ended up shipping mine out, and this was the issue apparently they were having. See those couple of scratches on there? So everything looks great except for this one right here. And they actually had this one wrapped up separate with a note on it that said a new one is coming that does not have these little fine scratches on it. That's pretty cool. I probably wouldn't have cared if it had a couple little scratches on it. I'm sure I will put my own little scratches on it. That's pretty cool that Parajet is standing by their product like that. All right. So apparently I get 2 extra hoop pieces as well, plus the additional one that's coming due to the scratches. That's kind of cool, just in case. Now I do have to say the fitment of all of these little joints, a little bit snug. I'm guessing it's because it's the first time it's going together. So the more I take it apart, they'll probably get a little bit more smooth going in and out. But otherwise, the cage looks pretty awesome. I like that. That orange and black is pretty sharp looking. So netting to me has always been kind of the pain. Comes all tangled up. This doesn't look too bad though. So let's see how it goes. I have to say, one of the reasons I was looking at the PAP is the fact that the cage comes apart with the netting attached to it in those 4 sections. Where this thing you have to string the netting through. There's got to be a way to do it. So I'm going to practice that. I'll work on some technique. Right now it's just a little bit tangled up. Okay, I had to watch another video to figure this out. So this groove here is pretty cool actually. So you just have to get this in before you connect up your final piece so that this cable runs within this groove. And then there's a lock that's under the tank, and then these lock up together. Now I wasn't sure if it was going to come with a battery, and apparently it does because I tested it out. So the battery is in this aluminum casing here. If you look down the side here, you can see that's where the switch is to turn it on and off. Well guys, we got her together. Took about an hour and 20 minutes, but that was troubleshooting, playing around, figuring it all out, getting it unpacked, that kind of stuff. So I'll actually go through at some point and do a video on assembly, disassembly, just to see how manageable it actually is compared to the Maverick. I tell you what, I really like the look of the machine. These aren't mass produced, so there's a lot more attention to detail with the design, how it all comes together. It feels a little bit lighter, but I just threw 6 liters of gas in there. I checked my hang points. The hang points are perfect from the factory. So I won't unfortunately have time to break in the motor tonight. Hopefully in the morning I can do that. And we'll see what the weather looks like tomorrow. Take it on its first flight.